They turned up, man.
As they should be.
Oh, yeah, yeah. All right, welcome in Cowboys Nation and Cowboy Game Day Live, the post-game show brought to you by Kanvas Sports and Social. We are here live, and if you hear that in the background, like,
you know
why
the Cowboys
lost. That's because the Saints fans are turned up right now. This is basically a Saints party.
The Saints go marching in.
They came marching into Dallas and marched straight out of here with an ass whooping, 44-19, and destroyed Dallas in all facets of this game. In historic measures, really. This could have been way worse, I think, if they would have kept their foot on the pedal. Had no need to. Got out of hand early, stayed out of hand, and the Cowboys walk out of here 1-1, heading into next week where it won't be as easy, and that's something we'll talk about all week. But initial takeaways here from this thumping.
You know, it's really unfortunate, you know, coming off the win that you had last week. There were high hopes for this Cowboys football team, and all offseason we talked about it, and there was disparaging conversations about, well, Dan Quinn is gone and his inability to put real linebackers on the field, and his scheme wasn't a good fit for what the Cowboys should have been doing and how they've been doing. And it was like, oh, we're ushering in this new scheme and this new defensive coordinator and how he's going to put players in the position to succeed, and all these things were working well, and it showed to be positive last week against
But there was an asterisk next to that when you had to.
You know what the quarterback is, and then you come home, and now you have to face one of the Kyle Shanahan tree offensive coordinators in Clint Kubiak, and boy, was Mike Zimmer exposed, belt to butt. It was an embarrassment, and it felt like, legitimately, it felt like the Saints offensively was always 2 and 3 steps ahead of anything the Cowboys wanted to do, thought they can do, tried to do, attempted to do, thought about doing. The Saints had an answer and another answer and another answer, and it was a outright whooping,
man,
from start to finish. At no point in this game, after the ball was kicked, did you feel like the Cowboys had a chance?
No. I mean, I said this on Twitter. It was like copy and paste from the Green Bay game.
Yep.
You know, you had a defense who couldn't stop a nosebleed, who 6 straight, I believe, offensive possessions was a touchdown. Same thing happened in Green Bay, 6 straight offensive possessions. You had an offense that looked like it was back in 1992, very stagnant. They couldn't convert, score touchdowns. It couldn't be more night and day.
Yep.
When you looked at, you know, what Kubiak was doing, what we were doing. We were having this discussion. You know, the Kubiak offense, the Kubiak, Shanahan, whatever you want to call it, these offenses make it so easy on the quarterback that if you just have a good – and Carr's a good quarterback. Like, Carr's not a bad quarterback. This isn't like you're rolling out – Deshaun Watson's a bad quarterback at the moment, but it wasn't rolling out that. So if you give a good quarterback a scheme like this where it didn't look hard ever – and nothing looked difficult from snap 1 to the final snap he took. And that was astonishing to me in this game. And that's one of the major takeaways is, I said it at halftime, the nightmare came true. Hey, Zimmer, this was your test, right? Hey, I didn't know what was going to happen in this one. It's been a while since you ran up against this, but historically, you fared well. But this is 2024 now.
Yeah.
The nightmare came true. You couldn't stop a Shanahan, Kubiak-looking offense. And on offense, you look like, oh my God, I don't know what the hell I'm doing anymore.
You look prehistoric.
4, save me. 88, save me. And the difference between this and the Green Bay game, you didn't have Ferguson up the seam to make all those tough catches and get in the red zone to score touchdowns. That was the difference.
No,
from it being a total 50-10 blowout.
Absolutely. In the one play, I mean, think about it. You take 7 off the board because it was a routine play that CeeDee Lamb and his just outright athletic ability turned into a touchdown. But that was just a simple little, banana route for a first down. And CD said, "Now I got to go make a play," and dipped underneath and took it 65 yards for a touchdown. But again, outside of that this was a flat out, whooping from the Saints in all facets of the game, man. And the looks at the players and the coaches' faces on that sideline was a look of bewilderment.
I don't know what to do.
A look of like, you tell me.
Which is astonishing because the Saints did nothing that we didn't expect them to not do, right? Like they came out and did what they did last week and maybe add a little more as a dazzle here or there, but no, this was I'm just to be on YouTube talking Cowboys. I saw this type of offense coming and you had no answer for it.
No,
none.
You look at the first drive. They didn't do anything special. They ran 3 over routes and ran the ball a couple times for a touchdown. They just used their speed to outrun you across the field. And after that, they just said, all right, look, Derek Carr never, at no point in time, that he looked hurried, he looked rushed, he looked confused. It felt like practice.
Like when they come joint practice.
A joint live practice.
Joint practice, man.
Like he stood back there was like, nah.
I'll just wait for this over route to hit.
Yeah, it'll happen. There was nothing and we talked about the Micah Parsons packages, right?
Where was that?
Where was that at? Because a lot of times it looked like he was
having to go through an obstacle course.
And even the way that they did it, they were doing it to the fact where they would line up the double team block for Micah opposite the ball, play fake Micah's way. Here comes a sort of a wham back across, and a guy hitting Micah the second time, right? So it's like he has to
get rid of the tight end and then
deal with another guy, and that alone was something it was just enough. It was just enough to keep him off balance. It was just enough for the reads to come through. It was just enough to not get any pressure. And it just felt like all the things that we thought we were going to get with Micah being moved around and Micah being, it seemed like, hey, he was lined up most of the time at defensive end.
It
was like, hey, there's 11. There's 11 right there. We're going to just send a guy his way and 2 guys his way, and we're going to just continue to chip him and cut him and all these type of things. And so
it was one point in this game, Derek Carr had 14 attempts for over 240 yards.
Yep.
14 attempts for over 2. If you can make the game that easy for your quarterback, that's a cheat code. New Orleans Saints rushing offense. I'm going to read off averages, okay? Kamara averaged 5.8 per attempt. Jamal Williams, 4.9, so 5 yards per attempt. Taysom Hill, 6 yards per attempt. Rashid Shaheed, 4.3 yards per attempt. Chris Olave, 7 yards per attempt. Every single last person averaged about 5 yards when they touched the ball on the ground. Wow. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that.
And it was easy. And it was like, okay, we need 4 yards, no problem.
Got it. 6. We need 3, here's 4.
Here's 4. We need 9, here's 12. It was like whatever we needed, when we needed it, however we needed it, they got it.
And the only interception, because it was a little bit of an errant throw, but dude tips it, pick interception. It was so easy for them watching, and shouts out to the Saints fans. If I was a Saint fan, man, I feel so excited about what this offense can bring in, week out, because there's so much they show you. And on the flip side, you look at Dallas, it was just an awful game. Dak 27 for 39, 293. The touchdown, one pick was you fell. The other pick was just, hey, man, I can't go to anybody else. I'm going to force it to 88. And what happens? It was inevitable, in my opinion. I kept saying, I'm waiting for the Dak interception. I ain't going to lie to you.
Yeah.
Tries to force it, gets an interception. On the ground, nothing. 21 carries, 68 yards. Zeke, 2.7 yards per carry. Rico had 4.3, but it wasn't like it was a meaningful 4.3 yards per carry. Deuce Vaughn, 2.8. Turpin on a one end around, he had 2 yards. Just absolutely nothing. Once again, your ground game looks like it's something. I don't even think it's anything out of 1990. I think I've seen better run games out of 1990 when it comes to creativity. This is now concerning. I'm sorry.
And even when you were talking about you were talking about this when we were watching the game, you were like, wait a second, why do we have Zeke trying to run outside
and Deuce running inside?
It was like
nothing made sense.
And no running back looked like, for it to be week 2,
like they had legs.
They looked like there was zero juice. Like I'm saying this jokingly, but I'm saying this in a serious mode. Let's see what Cook got. Let's see what he got, man. At this point in time, I don't know, Rico. Because you go up against Baltimore next week. We already know what that's going to be. That's a brawl.
Yeah.
You might as well, that is a back alley street fight.
But Jesse, that was my issue this whole entire offseason, and a lot of people have had this thing. Who's the juice guy in the room?
Right.
Like when TP and Zeke were here, and even when Zeke wasn't the same guy he was earlier this year, it was always, it's cool because you had TP to give you the big plays.
Right.
And one of my things at that time was, look, if you have a non-creative run game and you have a running back who's more of your kind of lead back in the sense of your power back, at least you have a juice guy, and if it's not going well that day, put the ball in his hands in space, and he'll pop off a big play. We saw TP do that. Who's doing that for you?
Right.
Nobody's doing that for you. So guess what happens when the game gets out of hand? There's no threat of a run game. It's drop back, and now there's no threat of a pass game because you showed no creativity today. Where was the here we go offense with the pre-snap motion and all this stuff? That was nothing. It was everybody stagnant, drop back, and we're just going to run slants, and we're going to drop 7 and hope like hell you find somebody open. This is not going to cut it week in and week out. You can call it overreaction. I don't care what you want to call it, man. That performance can't happen against good teams moving forward.
And what the Saints just said, hey, you know what? Cool. We're going to play the percentages. We're going to just drop back in coverage. We're going to try to get home with 4, and we're going to just wait for you to make a mistake. Because eventually you're going to miss a read, a poor throw. We'll probably get someone to get home, and you'll have to work your way all the way down the football field. We're not going to give you anything deep.
Overtime.
You're going to let you catch everything in front of us, rally to the tackle, and sure enough, it worked in their favor. And you can do that when you're up 14-6. 21-12,
35 to
whatever it is. You have that luxury to do that, and I'm not going to say the blueprint's out because it's always been out. The Cowboys, guess what? Ding, 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 ding. Still can't stop the run.
Still can't stop the run, and they still can't run the ball. They won't commit. Even if they committed to it, I don't even know if it would have done anything because they don't do anything creative to do so. Just go look at the Saints rushing attempts and how they did it, and look at the Cowboys and how they do it. It couldn't be more night and day on both sides of the ball. And the reason why it's concerning to me is because what you saw today looked like the offense in the playoffs.
Yep.
This is how the offense looks. One-dimensional, can't run it, 4, 88, 87, save us. That is not sustainable, bro.
No.
It's not sustainable. And look, man, you got the Ravens next week, so I don't know. I don't have the answer, Sway. All I know is they need to go back and look in the mirror, both offensively and defensively, and try to find some type of adjustments.
And honestly, what are the adjustments, right?
Sure.
Like at this point in time, your hope is that you play less talented football teams,
or that the guys, the 3 or 4 top tier guys you have on each side of the ball, play Herculean, is what you called it before, right?
Yeah.
Herculean efforts, but that's not sustainable.
That's not a sustainable thing, man. Because now what teams are going to start doing is say, you know what? Because like even on the interception, right? Like from here we go, Tyrann Mathieu was like, I'm going to 88.
Yeah, I don't give a damn.
I don't care what else. The ball was snapped, and he's like, I'm going right to 88. Someone else is going to have to beat us. And what did they do? They went right to 88, and he ran the route for CD. He was right there in help position, robber position, came right in, picked the ball off with his hands, and made the interception. And so, I jokingly talked about it in the pregame show and saying, man, I'm trying to push my narrative. But hey, Jalen Brooks, Jalen Tolbert.
Oh, what a terrible nightmare game.
Come on now. Like, this is an opportunity for you guys to show up and show out and help your football team and to make some plays and to create some space.
I'll give Tolbert credit for the deep ball catch. I went back and looked at it, man. I wish he would have let him a little bit to see if he could outrun the guy.
Yeah.
I felt like he had it was if you're even, you're leaving type situation. But hell of a catch, and then hell of a hustle play. So the second half, he was better. Brooks, I can't say the same for him, but it just wasn't enough, man. It was, week 1 I thought it would have to be a lot of balls you had to catch 50-50. Today was more like that. There was a lot of 50-50 balls you had to attempt to catch, and it just wasn't there. It's just an awful game overall on both sides of the ball, and I don't have any answers. Hopefully they have some answers, but it's going to be a long drive home for these guys thinking about how they can get better.
And honestly, right now, again, this is the gift and the curse that we have as analysts and broadcasters is we watch the game just like you, and then now we have to come on and give it an assessment of what happened during the game. So we're going to go back.
Yeah,
we're going to look at it.
Yeah.
We're going to look at it in its totality. But, man, just from watching it on the surface, it
was concerned. That's the word I'm coming with. That's concerned.
Because now I'm saying, well, what do you do? Because it is on film. The way you now beat the Cowboys is you ran some sort of variation of what the Niners / Green Bay / anyone who comes from that Shanahan tree, and that will be enough to foil the plans of the Cowboys defensively.
And put them in a blender.
And then offensively, you just try to rush forward and eventually play the percentages and say that CeeDee Lamb will have his, but nobody else is good enough to step up. And hopefully Ferg's back next week to give this team a boost. But nobody's afraid of this running game. No one's looking at this running game being like, boy, we got to commit guys to the line of scrimmage now. They're
because
like,
you're not committing to it, either creativity or with the personnel, and quite literally, you're not committing to it during the game.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be honest. I don't know, even with the level of creativity, that there's enough juice in those guys.
That's fair.
To give you enough of a threat to make teams
respect it.
To make teams
Fine,
respect it.
But what you have to do, if you don't have that type of player back there, which I've been screaming all year, you don't have a dude back there, in my opinion. So you have to help them. You have to help them with some type of – you can't shotgun. We're just going to run right down the middle. I get it. Kamara is an unbelievable talent, but we just talked about it. Jordan Mason over in San Francisco, can you plug and play because they run a certain style of offense.
Right.
So even if you were a little bit more creative to help those dudes out and you realize we ain't got enough juice, let's go get a juice guy.
Yeah.
There's nothing. There's not a juice guy. There's not a guy back there that can truly tote the rock like that. There's not a blocking scheme that can do it. And let's be honest, they ain't even blocking all that well either. It's just a complete disaster, and there's no help coming, in my opinion. All we're hoping for is a prayer by Dalvin Cook. And look, Dalvin Cook, what he does best is outside zone. All we're doing is running between the tackles and pitching the ball to Ezekiel Elliott on the outside on 3rd and 1, 6 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. It felt today. It's frustrating, and it felt very, very antiquated in what the Cowboys were doing offensively.
And they didn't. And last week, for 2.5 quarters, it looked like that too. We just got away. We got out of there.
Right.
With the dub, your defense was stifling, and your offense had 2 or 3 possessions where your quarterback was moving. They moved the pocket. There was a legitimate game plan. What was the game plan today?
You know what? I think it's the old Mike Tyson quote, right? Everybody has a plan until you get punched in the mouth. When you look up and you're like, holy crap, we're down 14-3. And not only are we down 14-3, we're down 14-3, and they walked the dog on us 2 series in a row. All of a sudden now, whatever game plan you had, you got to curtail it. And then you look up and you go, oh my goodness, we are down 21-6. And everything that you wanted to do or thought you can do,
probably started to get thrown out the window.
It was like it's like SOS, sound the alarms. It's like Joe Clark, get those chains off the door. The enemy's hit. It was too late.
But they keep folding when they get punched in the mouth. They folded against Buffalo, folded against San Francisco, folded against Green Bay, folded against the Saints. This continues to keep happening. Am I supposed to sit here and act like? You know what I mean? Like, oh, hey, Mike McCarthy's going to have I don't think he can. I don't think he can. No, it's Mike Zimmer. We'll see.
It's a culture. It's a culture. It is a culture of, and I'm not singling any player out, but it is a culture of we don't have a tough enough culture to withstand the early punches and punch back.
Yep.
And I've told people, and don't give me a player. Because a player doesn't make the culture. The overall culture comes from up top down. And so now when you're looking at a culture of can we win the gritty, tough games? Can we fight ourselves out of a hole? There is a culture here that says no. And there's evidence of it. This is not a one-off.
No.
This is not a one-off. This is a consistent theme for the Cowboys is that when you come out and you get punched by a team that is equal to or greater than you, you fold up like a cheap tent, and you have no answer for it. And that is from the $60 million a year quarterback. That's from the soon-to-be highest-paid defensive player. That's from the wide receiver. That's from whoever you want to put this on. It's a collective thing that the culture in Dallas right now. That was under Jason Garrett. That's been under Mike McCarthy.
And we know the one constant in that, but that's not changing.
It hasn't changed. And I don't know how you coach out of that. I don't know how you draft out of that. I don't know how you do anything out of that. But there's been a culture of when Mike Tyson said, everyone has a plan until you get punched in the mouth. And the Cowboys get punched in the mouth. And I can't wait to go back and watch the TV copy tonight and just hear. Not even that. When the cameras panned to the sideline, there was these looks. Zim had a look on his face.
Green Bay.
Mike McCarthy had a look at it. They're looking around like somebody come and help me. Even the players, it just looked like a look of I am so gone, and there is nothing that I can do to save this ship from sinking.
My man had to say, man, where you, after the first San Fran game back a couple years ago when they lost, preparation breeds confidence.
Yes.
Right? And you just seen the preparation that New Orleans had and San Fran as well with the whole boombox thing. And they came out and they played that confidence manner. Even if a play didn't work, okay, now it's 2nd and 8, bam, whatever. We know hardly ever.
A play did not work for them to do.
Right, hardly ever. To them, play not working is they didn't score a touchdown.
Right.
So it exudes that confidence, and you saw that out of New Orleans. And I do wonder, like, did they realize, like you said, oh snap, maybe we were not as prepared for this as we thought we were. And next thing you know, everybody's looking around with their hands up, looking like Nick Young with confusion. Huh? What's going on?
And you know, you could have watched film, because we did it. We watched film and we go, no, it's just the Carolina Panthers. I can say that. You can say that.
They can't say that.
They can't say that. You can't have this approach of, well, they did that last week against the Carolina Panthers. They won't happen to us. Well, you look like the Carolina Panthers. You looked as inept as a football team like the Carolina Panthers.
It's one of the worst, if not the worst in the league.
Like you said, like at halftime, it was tied. Not this season, not over the last 10 years, not over the last 20 years. 35 points at half, tied for the largest points given up in franchise history. Yeah, you may have Dallas written across your chest and a star on your helmet, but damn it, you looked real Carolina Pantherish today.
Facts.
You look like a bottom feeder in the league today. You didn't look like a team that was poised for a deep playoff run. You didn't look like a team that was poised for Super Bowl contention. You didn't look like that. You looked like a team that.
And you're not going to beat the allegations. The allegations are, oh yeah, you can beat up on those mediocre teams and quarterbacks, but can you beat up on teams that want to punch you like this, that have a quality scheme, a decent quarterback, and going to bring that fight to you? They're not beating those allegations, not in week 2. We'll see in week 3, because they're going to be in for a fight next week. And that's a pressure-packed game.
Junkyard dog fight.
Yep.
It's going to be a junkyard dog fight with the Baltimore Ravens. And now, you know, you present with this other, you know, now next week you really have to play 11-on-11 football because of the dynamic that Lamar Jackson brings. Because I tell you right now, he gets in open space, it's out the gate in 88.
It might be.
You know what I'm saying? Like you know, you're gonna have now. You're gonna have to change up your scheme, because maybe you have Overshown go back to that, you know, that spying method that he had last week with Deshaun Watson. But shoot, man, like
this guy different.
This guy is different, man. This guy is different.
Hey, make sure y'all come check us out next week. We need a little bit more Cowboy help down here, man. This was a Saints party apparently that we weren't aware of, and they came out and they let us have it.
We got the invite, but we didn't want the invite.
We didn't want it, but you know what? I couldn't do nothing but sit here and take it. You know, but we said before when we first did this, like, hey, if y'all win like that,
say what you want.
Say what you want, man. Y'all got look. You got all the ability to do so, because your team came out and did what they did out there. The Cowboys took that L 44-19, and they got to bounce back next week. And hopefully, we will see y'all back here next week at Kanvas Sports and Social down here in Deep Ellum, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you, the vibe is really cool. We had some fans come out, check us out. Appreciate y'all for doing it.